What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another movie review. I'm Chase Lee, reviewing for DallasMovieScreenings.com, and the movie I want to take a look at right now is Ad Astra. Now, this one comes from 20th Century Fox / Disney. It is directed by James Gray, and this one stars Brad Pitt as an astronaut, and he goes on this really deep space mission to go find out what's happening and possibly see if his father is still alive. Now, something happens on Earth. I'm not going to spoil it just in case if you want to see this movie. Something happens on Earth that's really affecting life as we know it. And so they're tracing this incident back to a ship that's way out there in deep space. And intelligence is telling Brad Pitt, like, hey, this ship is tied to the mission that your father went on 30 years ago. Go find out, like, what's happening. Like, is he still alive? Retrieve this data that is left out there. Stop this incident from happening. So all this stuff is kind of going on. And so Brad Pitt goes on this mission, goes from Earth to the moon to Mars and beyond. I will just say that, to go find out what is happening and to see if his father is still alive. So that is the basic premise of the story, but there's a lot going on underneath that I would love to discuss here in just a second. But before I begin, regardless of what I think about the movie, and regardless of what anyone thinks about the movie, I want people to know that they need to go support this movie and Ford v Ferrari this award season. These two movies are the most pivotal movies in 20th Century Fox's history and their future bloodline that they will carry on, because if these two movies fail, whether it be box office, awards-wise, or both, it gives Bob Iger ammo at Disney to go, well, if these movies didn't succeed, then, we're just going to shut the studio down. And we don't want that as film fans. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a boycott all Disney, because I'm not. I like my superhero stuff, but I also love when they do riskier projects like this and really pour in some passion into these projects like Ad Astra and hopefully Ford v Ferrari. And I want to support both. And so please get out there, support these movies, and let them know that this is the type of stuff that you want, because this is the type of stuff I want. So I just wanted to say it before I get into my review. And before I get into my review, I will say that my expectation for this movie shot through the roof. I heard from, Venice or wherever it premiered at, this thing was getting just praise left, right, front, center, wherever. I haven't heard a mediocre to bad thing about it. And so, given that, and given the high stakes for the studio, this was the kickoff to award season, and I was looking forward to it. And the marketing worked for me, so I gotta tell you, when I left the theater, I was like, wow, that was way better than I thought it was. I thought it was up here when I was going into the movie. It went through my roof here and went out into outer space. This is a phenomenal movie. And I think that this is going to be regarded as one of the best space films of the decade. And yes, it's going to be grouped in with Interstellar and all that stuff. I think this is probably the top tier in this genre for the decade. Best of all time? Who knows? Time will tell. But I think it has an argument to be made that it could be regarded as one of the best of all time. So let's get into this thing, because I am ready to talk about it. Director James Gray did something that I wish all directors would do. Some directors, they will pour all their passion into it, and maybe the film just doesn't really work out on a narrative level, or maybe they just don't care and they slap up something really quick and easy, and it's just a bad movie. James Gray is the type of director that takes every single element and just elevates it. He's really in tune to every single department that makes a movie, and he just elevates it, and he makes it into the highest form of filmmaking possible. I mean, this thing is directed impeccably. I mean, it is razor sharp focus on everything, and it just makes for a grand experience to where when you leave that theater, you feel like a different person, and that is a testament to his filmmaking and his direction. Like, I felt like a different person. I felt like I had a religious experience watching this thing, and it was an extreme release, because there's a lot of like pent up kind of just energy throughout this movie, and then by the end of it, you just feel like this weight has been lifted off of your shoulders, and you're like, all right, James Gray, I see you over there. So he does this thing justice, and really just kind of makes it a wonderful time at the movies. And on top of all that, he supplies it with some of the best visual effects work I've seen all year. It is stunning to look at. And I actually think, and I will take this to the bank, I will mark it down right now, this is going to win the visual effects Oscar for this year. It's just, I don't think anything else can beat it. It is breathtaking. The cinematography is breathtaking. The production design is really great. The sound design accompanies that. And a lot of people might be like, well, some of this stuff is scientifically inaccurate. I can look past that just because this is a science fiction movie. I mean, there's going to be some stuff that takes liberties, but it's not enough to like just drag the movie down for me. But the sound design really works. The music is haunting. It's beautiful, and it has like this rich soul to it. It just elevates the narrative to the highest degree possible. So when I was describing the plot to you guys, that's basically it. I mean, it is a straightforward movie, and it is a bold, it is a just really kind of grand space exploration adventure that James Gray kind of puts together, and it's exhilarating to watch. Once again, kind of incorporating the cinematography, the music, and the special effects, it just makes the movie just be propped up even more. So it's a very straightforward narrative, and I know that could turn a lot of people off, be like, oh, there's really not much going on with this movie, it's a bit underwhelming. I get that, but I guess it just affected me a little bit more. And then something on James Gray's decision, and it might affect people's viewing a little bit, is that there's voiceover in this movie. At first, it was a bit off for me. I was like, I don't know how this is going to play out. You know, it kind of took me out a little bit, and it kind of hits a little bit on too much on the nose thematically with some of the story beats. But as the movie kind of kept going, I kind of got into it a little bit more. So, and by the end of it, I was sold. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna take down my grade because of some voiceover. It didn't really affect the movie too much for me. But I can see where people could see that as a problem, or even the simplicity of the story, which I'm totally fine with. But I just want to let you guys know that that going into it, that some people might find this a little pretentious, straightforward, boring, whatever. I didn't, and the voiceover might turn off some people, but it won me over towards the end. But what I really liked about the movie, and it's not just the mission that Brad Pitt goes on, it's the journey that he has as a character. This is a guy that's very, as he states in the movie, very compartmentalized. He's very isolated from people. He's all about his job. He's all about exploring out there and just being the best astronaut that he can be, and really following in his father's footsteps, because he really never had that connection with his father. This is the only connection that he has. So as the movie kind of keeps going, we kind of see him be a little bit more vulnerable, be a little bit more human, and it just provides that subtle depth that you want for this type of character. He's a very stoic character. He takes a lot of pride for himself, but there's a lot of times where like he's speaking about his father when he eventually reached the area where his father is at. There's a lot of emotions kind of holding inside of him that bubbles up to the surface, and he doesn't like break down. But he might have a couple scenes where like his eyes will water, or like a single tear will stream, and it's like it's breaking through. The cracks are showing, and it's showing just how effective his father is to him, and really kind of accepting that. And by the time he reaches like the area where his father is at, it's a release, and it shows us the human experience, the human journey, and just what it means to be human, having those connections with your loved ones, with random strangers. This is what we live for. It's not to be isolated and close off anything that you have going on in your life, which is what his father did. It's about the people that we love and want to share life with, share the memories with, the good and the bad. It's just like, that's what this movie is all about. And James Gray takes the science fiction kind of really bold, ambitious approach to it. But deep down, there is this beating heart to the movie that just really kind of resonated with me. And this is why it affected me probably, more than most people that will see this movie. And I really felt something there. I felt like, once again, I left the theater and I was like, I got to talk to my dad now. I got to reconnect with these people that, maybe I haven't spoken to in a long time. Because life is short, life is precious, and you want to make sure that you have this connection with people. You don't want to shield people out. You don't want to isolate people. You want to keep them in your life. And the whole, thing with this movie is that, yeah, you can go explore out into deep space and find all this stuff and isolate yourself. But deep down, it's all about harnessing what we have at home, Earth, and really just making the most of this instead of going out there to the unknown, but really kind of connecting with what we do know here. And I found that to be really powerful. Brad Pitt is also really great in this movie. A really touching performance. It's like I said, it's very subtle, but he's really commanding, which is no surprise because it's Brad Pitt. He is a movie star. He's like an egg in this movie, and he is just going throughout this journey. And like, there's a couple scenes where like he might get dinged a little bit, and the cracks will show, and his emotions start to kind of ever so slightly pour through. But that is what makes his performance well-rounded, his character more human and more raw. And it just makes the experience. And the whole third act, I'm telling you right now, some of the imagery in this movie will stick with you, and you're going to go home and you're just, you're going to start thinking about this stuff, and you're like, James Gray, why'd you break me? Why did you crush my soul? And so, but I appreciate that. That is the art of filmmaking. So, I just wanted to get the kind of lesser things out of the way. Some people might find the voiceover off-putting and a little too on the nose. I was at first, but it started to win me over. And then some people might find the overall narrative underwhelming. But everything else about it is so great that I can't even consider that as a part of negatives. Just more of like maybe slight critiques that some people might have. So for me personally, I was already going with an A for this movie. But in my gut, I know when the plus is right in the situation. I rarely walk out of movies going, that is an A+ movie. I did that with Moonlight back in 2016, where I saw that movie. I knew in my gut that this was it. This movie's going to be remembered for generations. I walked out of Ad Astra saying, this movie is going to be remembered in future generations. And I'm totally fine with saying that Ad Astra gets an A+. There you go. It might be my favorite movie of the year so far. I think it is. I should probably just say it out loud. I think it is, but it is an early award season. It might get knocked off. Who knows? But this is something special, guys, and this is exactly why I love going to the movies. And I think if you love ambitious movies that just really go there, but it is still a visual spectacle and just a master in filmmaking, this movie is for you. But go support it either way and show them that you want to see more movies like this. So what did you guys think of Ad Astra? I love talking about this movie with you guys. Let me know down below on what you thought. And that will do it for this review, guys. I'm Chase Lee, and tune in next time for whatever I review next. I will see you guys later.